Hey everybody, this is Mark Made here with Foosball today, and today I wanted to bring you a little kind of pep talk for Bardo or really any big foosball tournament you're going to, but just how to stay mentally strong during these foosball tournaments. As you know, if you've played in these tournaments, it can be tough and things will get under your skin, but if you can avoid that, it's really going to help. So I hope this helps somebody. Before we get started, I do want to beg you to subscribe. They basically forced me to do it, but here I am doing it. So I've gotten some followers. So I have about 49 on Facebook right now, 4 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 1,000 on each platform. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please follow my Facebook page. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I really, really appreciate it, and it really helps me out with everything we're doing here at Foosball today. So thank you very much. So let's talk about staying mentally tough in tournaments. This is a great quote from Mike Tyson, and I think it definitely applies to foosball. You think about the next foosball tournament you're going to go to, you're like, I'm going to practice, I'm going to play really well, I'm going to take my timeouts, I'm going to, execute the strategy exactly the way I want to. But then first round, you play against some rookie team, and they're all of a sudden they're up 4-2 in the first game, and you just mentally start freaking out already. And throughout the tournament, you're always going to have a bunch of different challenges. So it's something you're going to have to deal with the whole time. It is like getting punched in the mouth, except on the foosball table. And I'm going to try to help you deal with that. So there's a bunch of different potential challenges that can get you off your mental game. I think the first one everybody thinks of is definitely slop. So we'll discuss that. Another thing is opponents. Sometimes you might, for various reasons, opponents might bother you or rub you the wrong way. Um, and you got to really stay mentally tough through that to just play your own game. On the other side of the table, your partner could be something that throws off your mental game. Perhaps you're not even playing as well as you thought, and now your own performance is making you play worse because you're like, why am I not hitting that really long like I normally do? Why is this happening? And then your whole mental game just kind of falls apart. And finally, this is a big one, especially these really long tournaments, just overall fatigue and also sickness. Some people just tend to get sick at these tournaments, and that's definitely going to affect your mental state as well. So we're going to discuss all these different aspects. So let's talk about slop. The thing that you really need to realize, and I know slop bothers a lot of people, the one thing you have to realize is, if you're a normal tournament player, how much foosball are you really playing that, in a given week or month? I think for most people, they're playing maybe, the weekly DYP, probably like one tournament a week is the most that most people are going to play. Maybe if you're in a big city with a bunch of tournaments, you might play a couple a week. Maybe you'll play one tournament every 3 weeks. But essentially, you're not playing that much foosball overall. Now you go to a big tournament like Bardo or Worlds or whatever. How many events are you playing at that tournament? You might play 4 events if you're a pro or a master. You could play like 10 plus events if you're a beginner or a rookie. So, and if slop is just a random thing that's, it's going to occur over the course of your tournament, if you're playing 10 times as many tournaments packed into one weekend, what does that say about slop? It says that you're going to get 10 times the slop. So, it's just something to kind of realize up front. You're going to play a ton of foosball, way more than you normally would. And what does that mean for slop? It means you're going to see a lot more slop. You're also going to dish out some slop, which is badass, but you're going to see a lot of slop head in your direction, and you need to deal with that. Also, if you're not like a pro master, the lower ranked you get, what are players of those ranks going to do? They're going to make more mistakes. And how does slop happen? It happens when somebody tries to execute something and they mess it up. I go for an uprush, whoops, didn't catch it. Now it just flies somewhere. Maybe it flies into your goal, maybe it flies into your goalie zone. You hit a 2 bar, didn't really hit it right. It ricochets off 3 things. Maybe it ends up in your area, which is great. Maybe it ends up in your box, which is not great. The lower ranked you are going to see more slop, and you're also going to cause more slop. It's just going to be like a sloppier situation. So it's just something you gotta be ready for and just realize this is happening, whether you like it or not. Even if you are a pro master, you're going to experience slop, right? Slop is inevitable for all players. It's just, we're hitting the ball as hard as we can. We got somebody defending on the other side. Balls are going to, hit a guy and bounce off. You're not gonna execute perfectly every time. Slop is gonna be there. Let's get our head mind right and kind of realize that up front so we can deal with that. Next, your opponents. When I made this list, I kind of almost thought about myself or things that I have done in the past more. But I've seen players that are playing great in a tournament, and then they run into someone that just really just bugs them. You know what I mean? Maybe they hate, um, maybe you just hate this person, right? Maybe you have some personal beef with them that exists outside of the tournament, and you got that mental baggage associated with it, and you basically don't even want to associate with this person. Now you got to play with them. Maybe you don't like their strategy. If you play against somebody like me, am I going to hack you? Yep, I'm going to hack you. So if you're one of these people that hates hacks, that's going to annoy you. You're one of these old school guys that thinks, oh, the roller is a BS shot or whatever you might think. Then somebody is shooting a roller, that might annoy you. So these are all things that you're going to have to deal with. Excessive cheering, right? I used to do this a lot when I was younger, like 20 years ago when I first started playing. I try to be cool about it now, but sometimes people will score and they'll be yelling and screaming. Maybe they have their fans or friends and family there, and they're also yelling. If you're the one that just got scored on, or let's say they cheer for slop, now you have like a combination factor, right? Because you hate slop and you hate people cheering. So, you might get into those type of situations, and that's going to bug you, and you got to let that not bother you as well. And the last one, and this unfortunately is going to come up for you in these tournaments, is there's going to be some kind of an argument, right? And the type of stuff that comes up is, let's say like you shoot a roller, you hear what you think is it went in the box. So you're like, cool, that went in. The opponent's like, that didn't go in. That's like a pretty common complaint. One that'll definitely come up as well. A lot of people will say you jarred them. Did you jar them or not? I don't know. But now it's a big argument at the table, and mentally you're going to have to deal with that. And along those same lines, people might accuse you of cheating. People might be actively trying to cheat you. You either think they're trying to cheat you, or they legit like are for real trying to cheat you. I've seen all of this over the years. And while it's not common, these are things that could, like I said, you go back to you're playing maybe 10 times as much foosball as you would in a weekend, maybe 20 times as much foosball as you would in a weekend. These things are going to come up more often, even if they are normal and just infrequent. You're much more likely to hit them during a tournament weekend. So these are all things that you need to deal with. Now let's talk about yourself and your partner. So if you have a partner, obviously you can make mistakes and your partner can make mistakes. So even before you're at the table, your partner is, at tournament weekend, it's a lot of fun. Maybe they kind of party up a little bit more than you wanted, and now your partner shows up to the table and they're drunk. Or you get a partner who's like a big smoker and they're outside smoking, and every time they call you, you're like, oh, I gotta go track this dude down, and you're like, run around the parking lot, where are you? Come to the table already, and you're super annoyed before the tournament even starts. Slop, there's another one, right? Like you're already annoyed about slop, but now you're in a doubles match. You think you're playing good, you're doing your very best, and the other team just shanks something in and it kind of rolls in on your partner. Now you're mad about slop and you're mad about your partner for not stopping the slop. So, that's kind of a double whammer right there. Just making mistakes. Like everybody's going to make mistakes. No matter how good you are, you will make some mistakes during the weekend. And you're not perfect. Like that's expected. So you really have to just kind of acknowledge and deal with that. And then finally, sometimes you're just not going to perform as well as you think, right? I think anyone that goes into a big tournament weekend, what's on your mind? It's winning this tournament, right? You want that jacket, yeah, baby. You want the trophy, maybe scoop up some cash, take your girl to a nice dinner, yeah, baby. And you get there and man, the 3-bar you've been working on just doesn't feel as good on these tables, or you're just not catching your passes, and the weekend's just not kind of turning out the way you wanted to, or maybe just had one bad match. All these things are going to happen, and that's just a part of life and a part of foosball tournaments. And you really just have to fight through that and do your very best. And finally, let's talk about the fatigue and sickness. Some people call it like the tournament flu, but basically like you're traveling, you're going through airports and whatnot. you're staying in a hotel room you're not comfortable with. Maybe you're not sleeping good. People are partying at tournaments. So if you stay up late, you're not getting enough sleep and you're drinking and doing, God knows what else. You might not feel that great the next morning. Also, like, the older you get, I know for me, like my shoulder will get really sore, like just even shooting a roller, just like moving my hand back and forth like this, that can get really sore over the course of the weekend, and that can bug you. As far as food, sometimes you're just eating crap at in the tournament room. You might not be on a good schedule. You might not be drinking water. Overall, like all these things contribute to you possibly feeling pretty bad by the end of a tournament. And this is just something that is coming, and you really should prepare for it. So, what if you let these things affect you? You go to a tournament, these things affect you. What happens? One, lack of focus. If you're mentally worrying about slop, if you're mentally worrying about your opponents or how your partner's playing, when you really should be worrying about what you're doing, you're not going to be focusing on the right things. And what's that going to lead to? It's going to lead to poor execution. And at the end of the weekend, your results are going to suffer. And also, probably the worst part about it is you're just not going to have as much fun, man. Because I've been to tournaments where I felt great and I'm having just a blast. And then you go to other tournaments where, you're just off, you're not playing as good, and you're just like, oh man. And you just almost dread going up to the table and you're not having any fun. And you're on vacation. At the end of the day, like this is a vacation for everybody and you should be having fun. So I want you to max out your fun. And maxing out your fun does mean putting a little work in up front to avoid some of these factors. So let's talk about some overall principles in dealing with these things. You're not perfect. Your partner's not perfect. Your opponent isn't perfect. What does that mean? It's like you're going to make mistakes. Slop is going to happen. You're probably not going to win all the matches that you think you should win. These are just facts you have to deal with, and getting angry about them really does nothing. You know what I mean? If slop goes in and now you're sitting there mad about the slop, that's not good. You need to be just kind of moving on to the next ball. And really, if you think about a tournament, a foosball match, you're going to play a bunch of individual balls, right? Each ball does not affect the one before it. Sure, you can make an argument like maybe there's like some meta game type of stuff, like if your opponent's shooting a bunch of pull sides, maybe you're going to guard pull side more. But in general, each ball is a unique event, and you need to treat it as such. You can't carry mental baggage and anger through from one ball to the next. And I think also if you kind of think of each ball as a unique ball, then you kind of realize the score doesn't matter as much. You just need to work on winning every single ball, right? I've been in big tournaments and I've come back from being down 0-4 in the second game and you win that game, right? And if you're just kind of stressed out about, oh, I'm down, I can't come back, and you don't just focus on winning each individual ball, you might not win that game. So to me, like that's the kind of core thing is just thinking about every ball. I'm gonna grab the ball out of the rack. I'm gonna do my very best what I can with this ball. I'm gonna try to execute my best. But win or lose on that individual point, the next ball, it's a whole new day. You have to put that same fervor into that next ball as well. So strategies to deal with some of this stuff. Number one is being aware of your mental state. Okay, you're gonna, some like things will anger you during the course of a tournament. You're gonna be disappointed in yourself. You're gonna be mad about slop. That's unavoidable, and that's okay. I'm not saying don't be angry about those things, but you kind of got to know when you're feeling that way, right? For me personally, like I might just physically feel my skin getting hot, like my head is just getting hot from anger. That's a real physical tell for me personally that I know, whoa, I'm kind of going off the rails here. I better kind of rein it in. You know what I mean? So just be aware of how you feel. Are you feeling super angry? Are you feeling super annoyed? Then okay, maybe that's like I need to think about this and actually do something about it. So also mentally prepare for this to happen, right? Because as we've said, throughout this presentation, like you're going to play way more foosball than you ever do in a given weekend, and I guarantee you will be in some uncomfortable positions over the course of that weekend. That's inevitable. There's no way you're going to go through the whole weekend and not deal with this stuff. You will. So you got to know up front, I know it's coming, and when it gets here, I'm going to do my very best and just handle it the very best I can. So that's just a good thing to do. Driving to Bardo, you're in the plane. Just think like, how am I going to stay mentally sharp? How am I going to keep the anger level down? How am I going to deal with it when I get slop? And some of the things you can do, one thing is really slow, deep breaths. Just kind of take the heart rate down, take the intensity down. And that's something you can do in between balls. Like you reach into the rack, like they score their point, darn it. Cool, I got to get my ball. You reach into the rack, put the ball on the other side of the table. You've given yourself a kind of mini break there. So please take advantage of those things. Uh, and then obviously there's timeouts. You only get 2 a game, but if you're not using them and you're suffering from these mental issues, you need to start taking those timeouts. During the timeouts, do these breathing exercises and things like that. But if you realize that you're mentally getting messed up and you're not taking timeouts, just know up front that's a problem. That's a leak in your game that you can fix. And then hey, if you're out of timeouts and you feel your heart rate racing, or somebody gets a slop in on you and they're really mad, and you reach into the rack and you accidentally drop the ball and it runs across the floor, and now you've kind of bought an extra 20 seconds. I'm not saying do that, but I'm also not saying don't do that if you need it. So, there's things you can do there to get a little bit extra time if you really need to, if you catch my drift. So slop. Slop is a big one because number one, it's coming. It's coming. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter how good you play. There's going to be some level of slop. So what are you going to do about it? Number one in singles especially, doubles is true as well, especially in goal. But make sure you fight hard to keep that slop out. Right? Aggressively, reach back there as quick as you can. Grab those goalie rods. When the ball's bouncing around your goal area, really get your rods moving and aggressively keep that ball out. Don't be the guy that just like watches the ball roll in, clunk. Oh, I thought it wasn't going in. Don't think it's not going in. Get back there and make sure your men are in front of that fucking ball. You know what I mean? Get in front of the ball. In doubles, make sure you're cool with your partner as far as the zone. What kind of zone are we going to use? Or like, let's say you're a person, you're like, hey, you know what I like? I like to have my zone exactly the way I want it, and I want my, the 2-bar man here and the 3-bar man here. Tell your partner exactly what you want and coordinate with that stuff up front. That way, you're just not going to run into as much slop or stuff just getting in your zone that shouldn't get through your zone. And again, focusing on the ball, the current ball at hand, and not dwelling on, some slop that happened a ball or two ago, or maybe even like last match, and you're still just like, oh, I should still be in the winner's bracket. Like that's worthless. Don't do that. Just try to block it out of your mind. Acknowledge it's going to happen, and it's fine. You can kind of weep a little bit, like, oh, I've been getting unlucky. There's more slop than I expected. Okay, and that is a bummer. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to acknowledge this is happening. However, here's how I'm going to deal with it. Here's what I'm going to do, and just try to deal as best you can. With your opponent, one thing that is really beneficial is looking at the bracket, seeing who you're playing next, and going over to that table and checking it out. I'm not saying you have to do this all weekend. It's a lot of work. I've done it and it has paid off for me, so I think it's beneficial. But at the same time, like it's a long weekend. You're not going to want to just do it all weekend long where it's like if you're not in an event, you're scouting out people. It's just a lot of work. So if you don't want to do that, I'm not saying you have to do it. But one thing that you might get out of it is you might see what people are doing. Like if somebody's annoying, if people are hacking and that annoys you, and then you scout out this match and you see like, oh, this dude's a hacker. That's good information to have, and it's much better to have that ahead of time and deal with it rather than experience it during the match for the first time and then you get angry. You can kind of see a guy like, oh man, I don't really like the way this guy plays, or maybe they're cheering a lot, or maybe they're just kind of a jerk. You know what I mean? It happens. It's good to just kind of know that up front and be like, okay, hey, this next one's gonna be a little bit rough. Let's get mentally prepared and just know I'm facing this dude. Not a big fan of this dude, but let's do our best. And it's kind of play your own game. If people are talking trash to you, if people are doing stuff you don't like, on the table. Try to just ignore it. Really all you can do is play your very best, try to focus, stick with the strategies that make sense to you for your game, and just do that and try to ignore them as best they can. I know it's difficult, but this is something you have to actively do to perform at your very best. And finally, getting a ref is never a bad call. It's a pain, and there's never enough refs, so it makes it like an extra pain. You have to go up to the desk, then you just got to wait forever for a ref to come. It sucks. But if you think someone's cheating you or someone's jarring you and they won't give you the ball back, and you're in this whole kind of mindset of not only am I playing, I'm also mentally reffing this match, but then the guy won't give me the ball. It's just this whole thing, right? Like if you're dealing with that type of stuff, just go get a ref. It's worth a couple bucks, and if you're not the one doing anything wrong, it can do nothing but benefit you, and then you can kind of take that aspect of it out of your mind. So I think getting a ref is always a great idea. Performance. So performance issues in the course of a tournament. It might be you, it might be your partner, right? You line up this awesome partner. Oh, this person's playing so great. They've been playing awesome. They're winning all the locals. They won, first place in this tournament last time they went. Oh, I'm partnered up with them. Yes, jackpot. I'm totally gonna do great. They might not do great. They might feel sick. They might have hurt themselves. They might just party too hard. Now they're ineffective. You don't know, and also you can't control your partner. So you kind of just gotta like lock in the partner, say good luck, and then just do your best, and get through that tournament not sweating your partner. At the end of the tournament, think it through. Like, what was my experience like with this partner? Do I want to play another one with them? And make the decision at that point. Like some people you're not going to mesh with. I've played with tons of people that I would not want to play a big tournament with, and it's not even just because of their skill level. Sometimes you just don't click with people, but that's stuff that you're not going to know until you play with them. So just kind of, you've already picked your partners, deal with it, and just try to get through the tournament as best you can, and then you can evaluate later if you want to keep playing with them. Also, the second bullet point here, no apologies. This is a huge one for me. It's like, you'll see this a lot where somebody will mess up during a match and they'll like, oh, sorry. They're telling their partner sorry, right? Or like you're playing, you're defending the 5 bar, and then they get a pass through, and then stomp. You're the forward and you stomp because I'm mad because I wanted to block it, and I want to make sure my partner knows that I'm mad. You don't need to communicate to your partner that you wanted to play perfect foosball, right? Like if they have the ball and they're passing and it gets through your 5, I'm pretty sure you didn't want it to get through your 5. It just did, right? So there's really you don't have to communicate with them and say you're sorry. I mean, obviously, like you rip a roller, it hits the wall. Are you sorry? Of course, you wanted it to go right in the box. You want it to go in the hole. So there's, it's implied that you're sorry. You know what I mean? It's implied that I'm trying the very best I can. My assumption is that you're playing the very best you can. And when mistakes are made, because they will be made, I mean, it's just a part of life. So this whole apology, stomping around, dealing with, oh, take a timeout. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, man. I usually do this and that. Just F all that, man. If your partner if that's something your partner mentally requires from you to get by, that's not a good partner. And if you have a good partner, they're going to understand you're doing your best, man. I get it. That pass went through, that slop went in. This stuff happens, and like that's what makes for a great partnership. So please try to get off the apology train. It's not helpful. I mean, another thing too to realize is not that many people are winning, right? You're going to have hundreds of people at a foosball tournament. How many people are getting jackets? You know, 20 at the most, something like that. It's a low percentage of people that are winning these titles. So no matter how good you're playing and how much you think you should win, sometimes you're going to win, but a lot of times you're not going to win. It's just something you got to mentally deal with and prepare for. So all you can do is play your best. So just try to focus on doing your very best. And a lot of times it's not going to be good enough for first, but that's okay. Fatigue and sickness, like this happens. A lot of times there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I mean, there is. So like if you really want to, you can make preparations. I think, getting a lot of sleep is one thing. Like the tournament room is going to close by, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever time. you're going to go back up to your room and go to sleep. You can go immediately, or you can like hang out and play more pickup games. You can go to the bar, have some drinks. You can go up to somebody's room, have some drinks, party all night. I played a DYP one time at maybe Texas State like 4 years ago, and I had this partner in DYP. We did pretty good the night before. Next morning, we're playing Tony Spreedeman. I get to the table. It's like 11 a.m. This guy rolls up to the table. He's just like, dude, we've been partying all night. Like, just didn't sleep, just drinking, partying all night. You know, I'm sure the guy had a blast. These are like Louisiana people, dude. They're all nuts. You know what I mean? They're badass. So that was super funny. But, sure, he probably had a good time. Is he going to feel great by like 9 o'clock that night? I don't think so. So it really just depends, like, how do you want to treat this trip? How do you want to treat this tournament? Is maximum performance what you want? Then if so, try to get some sleep. Try not to party so much. Or if you want to party, which I completely understand, just to kind of accept like, yeah, man, I'm gonna party. I'm gonna have fun with my friends, and maybe I'm not gonna perform as well as I would have, but that's okay. I'm gonna do my best with all the partying I'm doing. You kind of have to make that choice. Also, just like drinking water, it's easy to just get in, run from table to table, play a bunch of pickup games, just having fun. And, hours later, you haven't drank any water, you haven't eaten anything. So it's good to just try to stay on some sort of a schedule. It's like, oh, I should probably eat lunch by noon. I should probably have something for dinner by 6, whatever it might be. And try to do that and try to keep some water on you as well and just drink it, stay hydrated. Also, limiting your events. Especially when you're a lower ranked player, it's very tempting to just, I'm at the tournament all week. I don't want to play every single event. I think when you get a little bit older, your body starts kind of breaking down a little bit. You're actually going to get more benefit by just playing a few events, the ones you really care about, and not playing everything. So it's something to consider. Like, are you going to sign up for that DYP that's going to run late, or just skip the DYP, get a little bit more sleep, and just play better tomorrow? It's kind of it's an individual decision, but I think it's something worth thinking about. And that could also help you get more sleep and just help you feel less fatigued throughout the tournament. Um, that's it, man. That's the presentation. Um, Basically, I hope this helps out somebody. I really think overall, it's just I want you to play your best at Bardo or whatever tournament you're going to, and I want to play my best. I'm going to try to apply some of these strategies myself. Sometimes it's really hard. It is hard to stay mentally sharp. It sucks when you go to a tournament, you think you're going to be playing good, and then you start racking up losses. It mentally beats you up. But what I want to tell you is, no matter how bad you play one ball, the next ball is a brand new one. Try to do your very best. And, I wish everyone the very best of luck at Bardo. I'm really excited to see everybody there. I'm basically just going for the last 2 days. So I'll be there Saturday, Sunday, but I'm excited about it. Can't wait to see y'all there. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please comment. Please follow my page and subscribe to me on YouTube. Thank you. Sorry to keep bugging you, but you just have to. It's the way life goes on the internet. And thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.